Again to Sacred Circle. This will be our last circle for a while this summer as we take a break for the busyness of summer and people's schedules. And also I know it's much needed, so anyway, holding all of that. I'm Erin. I'm an energy healer. I specialize in working with the subconscious mind, and I have a practice called Water's Edge that I started in 2019. And since then, I've worked with hundreds of clients, and in the past year, I've began to focus my work with other folks, such as yourselves, who are deep feelers and sensitive souls. I started my studies with Dr. Brad Nelson, who is a now retired holistic chiropractor, learning the technique of energy healing that he developed called the Emotion Code and the Body Code, which is a form of muscle testing to dialogue with a person's subconscious. And from there, I became an ordained non-denominational reverend through a ministerial training program over 2 years of study with the Center for Sacred Studies in California. And that's the short version. I am always studying and learning new ways of energy healing to include in my work with clients. I use shamanic journey, plants and crystals, sound and vibrational healing, and I work with people through private one-on-one sessions. I offer group programs and self-study courses and hopefully retreats here soon. So there are many ways to work together if that ever calls to you, whether it's in person or remotely. I do both. And if you are looking for a way to dive into these topics more deeply while we are on break, or perhaps to just keep the healing going for yourself this summer, I do have a course called The Awakened Soul that is self-paced, and it's all hosted online. And I designed it especially for all of us deep feelers and sensitive souls, that goes into all of the topics we've discussed in circles thus far, far more deeply. It's full of audio and video teachings, worksheets, remote energy healing that you'll receive, and so many other goodies. So you can find that on my website if you're interested, which is watersedgebyerin.com. And again, it's called The Awakened Soul. So our teaching topic tonight, as we've discussed in previous circles, that the foundation and sort of understanding we're working with here as deep feelers and sensitive souls is that we were born with our particular energy and our particular gifts. We were born this way. And we know that our energy and our gifts led us to have an experience and a certain perspective as we move through life. And those experiences led all of us down what always seems to be such a similar path. And along that path, we acquire what I like to call hurts, habits, and hangups, or the coping mechanisms, if you will, that have got us this far in life. And now many of us are here because we are looking to bring healing to these things and more awareness to them. And maybe we're experiencing spiritual awakening and the idea that there is more to us than this 3D dimension, and we're looking to tap into that. And so in our last circle, we talked about boundaries and about the porous nature of our energy fields and some of the first conscious steps that we can begin to take to shift our experience of the world, because energy goes where intention flows, and it takes both conscious and subconscious work to create the most lasting, sustainable changes in our lives. So in that last circle, as I mentioned, we discussed the daily ritual of centering, grounding, and shielding. And every week I send out my free guided meditation for you to learn this practice yourself at home. And you can also, again, watch that recording of last circle on my YouTube channel if you missed it. But shielding is a preventative strategy. It helps us to not take on other people's energy and to set good energetic boundaries. And our energetic experience is connected to our physical and emotional experience. So if we are creating good energetic boundaries, from there naturally follows an increased capacity to create better emotional, mental, and physical boundaries. And tonight, we're going to introduce a few tools for energetic self-care that works by way of clearing and supporting our energy as well. Before I go into my planned topics for the night, I just wanted to mention a couple of things that also came to mind as far as tools while everyone was sharing this evening. And the first one is somatic practices. And some of you may be familiar with somatic healing, but if I had to name another practice or modality in the world that is similar to the work that I do through energy healing, it would be somatics. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we are tapping into our nervous system's response to stimuli and addressing what many of us experience as either a fight, flight, freeze state. Fawn is included in there as well. And one of the ways that we can use both sort of somatic tools and energy healing tools is when we're in these triggered states, or maybe a good example was driving through traffic, or we're feeling this anger, this sort of like maybe we're going about our normal tasks and we feel this rising in our body. We have the opportunity to tap into the somatics of it and really take some deep breaths and feel as deeply as we can comfortably go into that sensation and really be present with it. We know that presence and witnessing is often what our emotions and energies need in order to process and move through. And in somatics, we have this concept called titration, where we are moving toward a challenging energy enough to touch it. We're not fully going back into it. We're not like regressing, but we're touching it enough to understand it a bit and then coming back to something that is safe and grounded and protected. And it kind of makes this figure 8, which is the titration. So going deeper into that sensation, maybe asking some questions of your inner knowing about the sensation, and then coming out with some of the tools that I even introduced in our meditation today of like, now I'm feeling into the seat underneath me. Now I'm looking and tracking around the room and I'm noticing something physical, and I describe that physical thing to myself in a few words. Or adjectives, and now I can come back and see if I can touch that emotion or energy a little bit more deeply, and then I come back to the present. So we're titrating back and forth, and we're using our 5 senses to bring us back into present, safe self, right? Because a lot of times these things are coming up not necessarily in real time, or they're not ours. And so we use those senses to bring us back into the present and into safety, and to remind our bodies and our brains, like, I'm not being chased by a lion right now, right? Which is what our nervous system is feeling when we're in those moments. So I hope that helps. Somatics, energy healing, it's all like moving that energy out as well, but a lot of us have probably heard we need to feel it in order to heal it. So that's part of the somatics work. There was another tool that I thought of, but if it comes to me, I'll come back to that. So now I want to talk about clearing our energy. And so clearing our energy involves tools or rituals to let go of any stagnant energy that we've picked up from other people throughout the day, etc. We've talked about some of the preventative ways to stop that from happening, but we're all human and it happens. So how can we clear out that backlog of what's occurred to us or around us during the day? And what we're really doing when we're clearing is we are transmuting that energy. So energy can't be created or destroyed, right? Pretty sure that's Newton's, one of his laws, but we can transmute it. And so, on the other hand, some of the tools and rituals that I have to support our energy are not about clearing, but they're rather about strengthening our energetic selves. So we have both. And some, it's like a Venn diagram, clearing and supporting our energy. Some tools and rituals do both. So when we're strengthening or supporting our energetic selves. This can look like addressing our porous fields that we've talked about, any tears or holes in our energetic fields or in our aura. And again, as I go through this list today, different things will resonate with different people, and that's totally fine and great. You can take what fits from this list, take what feels supportive, and feel free to leave the rest. So first, we'll look at a tool that I use for clearing energy, and that is smoke medicine, and we experienced some of that at the beginning of our call today. And there is so much nuance to this ritual that I've created a full smoke cleansing guide, and I will send you the link to that after today's circle, because I won't have time to get into all of the details with you tonight. But some considerations to understand about smoke cleansing is, first of all, the difference between smoke cleansing and smudging, and about the appropriation that has occurred around and from Native American peoples relating to smudging. The guide also reviews which plants you might burn and why, as well as the importance of sustainable sourcing of our plant medicines and ways to forage responsibly. And so it is my personal belief that each of us gets to learn to balance our inner call to ritual and the ancestral practices that of our own lineage with the reality and the awareness that cultural appropriation and harm is so prevalent today, and both are real and true. And so the ideas that I present here today around smoke cleansing is also an invitation for you to sit with and explore your own relationship and opinions around these topics. And I believe that the use of sacred tools and rituals are really, truly vital to our spirits. They provide that connection to spirit and to our lineage and to our own intuition. And all of those things are largely lost in our Western culture. So many of us are disconnected from our lineage, whether it's because we don't know it, right? There's broken relating there, or the practices were not shared and passed on to us. And this is part of our human experience and our soul to crave that connection in community. And so ritual is one way to tap back into that and to also beautifully restore it for your lineage if you feel so called. And so I often use the term everyday spirituality, which refers to this concept of weaving small rituals into our lives, and smoke cleansing is one of the beautiful ways that we can do that. So what are we actually doing by passing smoke over our physical bodies and our energy body? Again, we're transmuting energy that doesn't belong to us, that is no longer serving us, that we've picked up throughout the day. And we're using the healing energy of the plants. And again, with the power of our intention, we can hold the idea that as we clear our energy, all of those things that don't belong to us, that we've picked up throughout the day, is sent either back to source or to the light for purification, whatever resonates with you. And in that way, we can use the smoke to cleanse our shield, to clear our aura, as well as our physical bodies. And especially for deep feelers and sensitive souls with porous energy, this is a great way to clear and ground yourself at the end of the day. As well as, again, connect to your ancestors and to the plant kin that you're using. And we can also use the smoke cleansing to clear our homes as well. The second, what I call my secret weapon for easy energy clearing, is sea salt. And it's surprisingly simple, but very powerful, and it comes in so many different forms. So you're probably all familiar with sea salt baths and using Epsom salt, and indeed, those are physically relaxing, but also great clearing tools for most deep feelers, and perhaps this is why a lot of us are living near the ocean as well. But my favorite hack for those of us who don't have a tub, or when we don't have time to take a full bath, or maybe get in the ocean, is to use a sea salt soap in the shower. And there's a lot of great brands out there, but if we use the sea salt soap as we mindfully wash our bodies, we can visualize any energy that we've picked up throughout the day that doesn't belong to us being washed away by the salts and taken down the drain. And again, with our intention and knowledge of transmuting energy, we can visualize that salt absorbing and then taking away any unwanted energy. And it's returning to the earth for purification. It's also, incidentally, a great time to visualize washing your energetic shield as well, because when we have those shields up, they're doing their job. They're catching all of that sticky stuff throughout the day. So like visualizing kind of how I had the smoke at the beginning, like sort of dripping down our field, we can do that with the salt soap and leave our shields refreshed as well. And again, whenever we're sending energy somewhere, I think we've talked about this, where a lot of us feel the inclination to hold energy that we've picked up from other people. And then what? Like, we're still holding it. So rather than like flick it back out to the universe or whatever, again, like it can't be created or destroyed. What do we do with it? I like to use the light or source as a place for purification, and the earth as well. And then it doesn't end up zinging around back to ourselves or another person intentionally. The other trick about salt soap showers or using salt for clearing is that personally, I experienced a huge shift when I started switching my showers to the evening rather than the morning, so that I really could take off everything from the day and cleanse myself before I go to sleep, which is a huge game changer for me. Other ways you might use salt soap, if you are someone who works with clients or in public settings, washing your hands, even if you can't do the whole body, just hands between clients or whenever you can, is great. Especially for those of us, if you do body work or you have hands on other people, that would be great to do. You could do a quick combo of smoke clearing and salt clearing. I also love Himalayan salt lamps, and they have just endless benefits, but they're neutralizing EMFs, they're emitting those happy negative ions that help support our bodies and our rhythms for sleep and mood and concentration. And then I also love using salt to clear our crystals. And we haven't gotten much into stone beings or crystals yet, but whether they're in your space or on your body, maybe this is part of your practice already. That's a great way to clear and charge your crystals, is putting them in some salt as well. And I just leave them in the windowsill to get charged up by the moon. So yeah, salt and smoke cleansing. I'm just kind of moving really quickly through this as we're headed on towards time here. So that's some of our cleansing tools. For supporting our energy, again, I just mentioned stones and crystal beings, and perhaps we need to go deeper into those in the future. But one way that I love using them is to grid our homes. And we could talk a whole hour just about gridding our homes. But if you're interested in that topic, that is one of the things I dive deeply into inside the Awakened Soul. But adding that extra layer of protection and support to our home space, which we know is so important to a lot of us deep feelers. It should really be the place that we can fully restore and recharge. Another great tool is charged water. And that practice uses the findings of Dr. Masaru Emoto and his work on the consciousness of water. And so with intention, we can call in supportive energy to charge the water that our body then can readily absorb and use. And we can charge that water with whatever intention we're needing. We can also leave water out. We should be using a glass or ceramic vessel for this practice with water, but we can leave it outside in the full moon if that feels supportive and resonant for you. Make sure that full moons are supportive and resonant for you, because a lot of us have a challenging time at full moons, but moon water can be a way to charge water as well. And again, I was hoping to go a bit further into detail on some of